Good morning and welcome to Live Without Limits. The Success Shift. Think like your future self. I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and today we're exploring a topic that has guided humans for thousands of years, but in modern life, we tend to ignore, doubt, or silence it. Your intuition, your inner voice. Intuition is your inner knowing, your subconscious intelligence, your emotional truth, your spiritual compass, your internal GPS, your connection to wisdom, your guide toward alignment, your warning system against harm, your voice when logic feels confused. So today, we explore what intuition really is, how your intuition communicates with you, and why it does so. How your intuition communicates, the second guess, or rather, why you tend to second guess yourself, how trauma blocks intuition, and that's the biggest thing because we all experience some trauma in our lives. How, how to differentiate intuition from fear, how to trust yourself enough to follow your inner compass. So let's dive in. And let's talk about your inner voice because it's how you hear yourself when you listen to yourself, or do you listen to yourself? Because sometimes women tend to follow the intuition far more than men do. But if you truly listen to it, it will help you hear what you should be doing and why you want to be doing it. Now, the moment I realized my intuition was talking and I wasn't listening, there was a time in my life when something didn't feel right. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, nothing obvious, but wrong. But inside, I felt uneasy, unsettled, uncertain, off balance, like something was hidden, like something wasn't adding up. My intuition whispered, "Pay attention, look again. Something isn't aligned," but I ignored it. I told myself, "You're overthinking. You're being dramatic. You're imagining things. You need proof." Then, weeks later, the truth came out. Everything my intuition tried to warn me about was real. I remember sitting there thinking, I knew this. Why didn't I hear myself or trust myself? The experience changed me forever. I realized that intuition doesn't speak loudly because it doesn't know how to. It already knows. From the moment on, I promised myself I would learn to hear my inner voice and trust it, even when it whispered, even when it didn't make sense, even when it had no proof, because intuition is the proof. So let's talk about your intuition and what you're hearing. Have you ever been in a room and felt as though you had experienced that same thing before? Well, that's partly your intuition, but that's also a feeling because as children, when we experience trauma and we don't know how to react, we turn to someone else. Or if we see someone react a certain way in a certain situation, we tend to internalize what they're feeling and react to it in the same way. So that's partly your intuition reacting to what's going on. So, what intuition really is, intuition is not magic, it's not guessing, it's not random. Intuition is your brain and your soul working together to guide you. It is made of the subconscious pattern recognition. Think about it. At night, when you sleep, that's when your subconscious comes to the forefront. And that's where your dreams come from. And that's where you tend to hear things. Now, what that means is your mind notices patterns long before you consciously brain does. So remember, there's the conscious, there's the subconscious. And the subconscious, you've got to get what's in your subconscious into your conscious thinking. Think about it. At night when you dream of success, right? Well, you think of all the ways that you can be successful, but your conscious mind is not aware of it. So it's how do you take what's in your subconscious thoughts and put them into your conscious thinking. Another thing is emotional intelligence. You sense energy, tone, tension, and truth. So, what is your subconscious mind telling you on an emotional level? Because we do have feelings and we do sense them. And how do we get that from the subconscious into the conscious so that we can learn to deal with what's really going on an everyday basis? Now, another thing is your body wisdom. Your body reacts before your mind understands. Think about the fight or flight mechanism or even the freeze mechanism that's innate in every one of us because we've experienced something before. And when we experience it again, we will immediately go into that fight, flight, or freeze mechanism that we all have. Now, let's talk about the inner truth. You know what aligns your values, your purpose, your heart. When we're talking about the mind, body, spirit, and how it affects your health and wellness, if you have a trauma in a certain situation, when you get right back into that situation at another time, what happens? You are putting yourself right back in that situation, and you're automatically going to react in the way you did before. So, are you going to stay there, or are you going to find a way to reprogram your thoughts and your thinking to react in a much healthier way in how you deal with any given situation that you find yourself in? The next thing we look at is the spiritual connection, intuition topics into a deeper knowing beyond logic and ego. Intuition is your internal narration system designed to protect you, guide you, warm you, or warn you, align you, connect you, empower you. But like any other system, you must learn to understand it. So, how do you understand your intuition? How do you get yourself in tune with your intuition? And then, how do you learn to react to those situations and build healthier relationships in your life? Well, those are some of the things that we want to get into. So, how intuition speaks to you. Intuition speaks in many ways. It's a feeling in your gut, a quiet nudge, a sense of yes or no. It's a physical sensation. Tightness means it's wrong. Expansion means it's right. A whispering thought, soft guidance that repeats itself, a sudden clarity, a moment when everything clicks. Okay? Have you ever, when you're studying something and it's very confusing and you keep working at it and working at it and working at it, and then all of a sudden you understand exactly what you were reading at or what you were trying to understand, that seemed so confusing that it may be that the way you wrote it down or the way you hear it may not be exactly the way you're internalizing it. So it's taking all of that and syncing it all so that at every level you're beginning to experience exactly what that true meaning is all about. The energy shifts. You feel drained by the wrong things and energized by the right things. That's your intuition telling you how to react in a given, any given moment. A knowing without knowing why, truth without explanation, emotional responses. Your intuition speaks through emotion, not logic. Often people will say they're sad, but they are trying to say that someone else or something outside of them is making them sad. They don't understand that your feelings and the emotions that you're feeling at that moment is what you are reacting to more so than what's going on outside in the environment. Dreams, imagery, and inspiration. Your subconscious communicates symbolically. You've experienced intuition your entire life. You just haven't always trusted it. Is that true? Think about it. Have you ever watched a show or watched a soap where the actor or the personality that he's is is feeling as though something is happening or he's reacting to that other person in the situation, and then you're reacting to it because you are so in tune to the scene that you're watching? Or it used to be that way in the past, but may not be so today, because even when you read a book, a mystery or a novel, and you get into the mystery, you get so into it that what happens? You're actually feeling what that person is feeling as though it is happening to you. When following my intuition saved me from a big mistake. There was a moment when I had an opportunity that looked perfect on paper. Everyone said, "This is great. You'd be crazy not to do it. It's a once in a lifetime chance." But inside, my intuition whispered, "No, I couldn't explain it. Nothing was logically wrong. Everything should have been right, but something felt off. I trusted that feeling and said no. Months later, I learned that saying yes would have led to a situation full of chaos, stress, and broken promises. That moment taught me intuition sees what your eyes cannot. Intuition hears what words don't say. Intuition knows what logic can't understand. And when you trust it, it protects your path and preserves your peace. Now, let's look at a current situation that we've in. You have leaders like Jim Jones, who set up a cult and had a number of people, or even Manson and his cult. They, they know how to find people who are lost and looking for something that they don't understand. And what happens? They're able to easily sway you. Well, what happens if you start to listen to your inner gut or your inner intuition or that inner voice that you're hearing, and it's telling you this is not right? Then what happens? You decide not to follow that person. And then months and weeks or years later, you hear something about them that helped you understand exactly why your inner gut and your inner feelings were telling you not to listen, not to allow yourself to be taken in. So, why? You don't trust your intuition. And this is the biggest thing that we need to understand exactly what your intuition and why you should follow it. Most people don't follow their intuition, not because they're incapable of doing so, but because they were trained not to. Here's why: your childhood conditioning. You were taught don't talk back, don't question things, be polite and honest. Never ignore your feelings. Your body learned to silence truth, to stay safe, and that's your fight or flight mechanism. Trauma disconnects you from your internal thoughts. Overthinking. You analyze everything to avoid discomfort. That's part of our personality where you tend to internalize things in a way that what you're hearing and what you're seeing becomes disconnected. And or you keep, it's like when you solve the problem and you keep trying to go back and resolve that problem and resolve that problem because something is telling you inside that it's just not right. It's just not right. Well, sometimes you're just overthinking the situation and not allowing yourself to actually be and follow what it is that you should be following. Fear of being wrong. You doubt yourself to avoid embarrassment or judgment. What are you telling yourself when that's going on? People pleasing. You prioritize others' options over your inner voice. And what's really going on is by people pleasing, by allowing other people to control you, that's is a situation where you're wanting and needing something that's not being met in a relationship. And then you allow someone else to manipulate you because you think that they will give you what you need, even though they're incapable of it. And I've seen this happen where you can see someone literally become someone else's lapdog, allowing them to continue to abuse them just because they're thinking or they don't understand what a healthy relationship is and what true love is. And then what happens? They're allowing themselves to be manipulated and done to in a way that allows someone else to feed into their own strength rather than allowing yourself to take control of what is your life, the life that you were meant to have, not to be someone else's source of success. Seeking eternal validation, you need someone else to tell you what you already know. Emotional dysregulation. When overwhelmed, intuition gets drowned out. This is what we're seeing in how we allow others to think about us, how to control us, and not understanding exactly how to listen to and react to what your personal feelings are and how you should take better control of the life you were meant to have. Intuition versus fear, how to tell the difference. This is where you get confused. Here's how to know. Intuition feels like a calm, a clarity, a groundedness, a quiet knowing, a gentle nudge. This doesn't feel right. This feels aligned with truth. Intuition is steady. Fear feels like panic, pressure, urgency, tension, catastrophic thoughts, insecurity. Fear is loud. So fear is louder than the calmness. And you can allow that fear to literally take control of your life and live your life in fear, or you can take your life and change things around. So here's a rule of thumb. If it's a loud, frantic, or urgent, it's fear. If it's quiet, steady, and calm, it's your intuition. So, how to strengthen and to trust your intuition. And this is the crux of what we're trying to get at. How you can read your own life, how you can look at things and take better control and think of your life as your best friend. Because it's like if you don't can take control of who you want to be and you allow someone else to control your life, then you're living their life, not yours. So you have to recognize where you want to be and how you want to live that life that you were truly meant to have. Here's how to build an intuitive confidence. Slow down your nervous system. Intuition lives in stillness. You hear it when you're calm. Ask your body. Your body feels truth faster than your mind. Journal your intuitive hits. Track the times that you listened and the times that you didn't. You'll see your intuition is almost always right. Practice small, intuitive decisions. Start with choosing your meals. Choose choosing route, choosing your daily tasks. Build intuitive muscles. Spend time alone. Solitude strengthens your inner guidance. Practice saying no without explanation. This builds self-trust. It's all about learning to trust yourself and who you are. This is something that many people, or even if you don't, someone else may not. And it's up to you to try to think of some ways that you can help them, if not yourself. So remember, people who invalidate your intuition, your environment affects your clarity. Ask your intuition daily. What do I need to know? What feels aligned? What feels wrong? What step should I take next? The more you ask, the clearer your answers become, and the more you are able to begin to listen to your inner self and your inner voice. Now, what is my intuition trying to tell me right now? Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart or your stomach. Ask, what truth have I been ignoring in the last week, in the last year, in the last 24 hours? What decision have I been avoiding? Often, when we have decisions to make, we may want to avoid them. Why? Because we're afraid that we're going to make the wrong decision. What decision have I been avoiding? What situation feels off? What opportunity feels aligned? What is my next step? Take a deep breath. Say, I trust myself. I trust my intuition, which guides me. My inner voice is wise. Now, let me remind you that you are not disconnected. You are not confused. You are not lost. You are not weak. You are intuitive, because intuition is human. Your inner voice has been your guiding you your whole life. You just haven't always believed it. But you can redesign today. You can rebuild self-trust. You can follow your inner compass. You can reclaim your wisdom. You can honor your truth. You can step into your alignment with who you are always meant to be and who you were meant to become. Your intuition is your birthright. Your clarity is directly inside you. Your voice is waiting to be heard. And when you trust your intuition, you unlock your life. That is alignment, peaceful, guided, and purposeful. Now, do you understand exactly where we're coming from, or why we're trying to help you understand what your intuition is? Because you and you alone can decide what is right for you. Because if you allow someone else to, they're not giving you what's right for you. They're listening to their own intuition, and they're telling you what is right for them. Now, what I also want to talk about is this. If you're writing a book on intuition, spirituality, or self trust, let me turn it into a professionally AI narrated audiobook without you recording anything yourself. All you have to do is give me a sample, and then I can send you a copy of that sample as an audiobook. Therefore, once we do that, then you can decide where you want to go from there. And what you need to do is send me your book title, the first 2 to 3 paragraphs. Your message deserves to be heard. Therefore, what we want to do is turn your book into an audiobook, because if you don't have an audiobook, you are leaving money on the table. How many times have you, when you're in your car on a long trip, gotten a book that you wanted to listen to while you traveled? Thank you for joining me on Live Without Limits, the success shift, and think like your future self. Your intuition is not a whisper, it's a compass. So until next time, I'm Davida Shitsky, reminding you to listen deeply, trust boldly, and always live without limits.